Welcome to AITV. I'm the AI guy, Rick McCauley, dropping news so fresh, gotta see it to believe. We break the wire with the stories that amaze. Deep dives coming, lighten up your days. Tool Time shows you how we make it shine. Building futures with AI one step at a time. Yo, Rick, slow down. I'm Brandon, the producer. Save some tools for me. I'm here bringing high-tech comic energy. AITV, news, deep dives, and creation. AITV, learn, laugh, innovation. AITV, more human amplified. Catch the spark, ride the wave, future's on our side. We got experts talking, truth in the stream, dreaming bigger, living stronger, building the dream. From therapy bots to AGI talk, we ask the hard questions while we walk the walk. Yeah, I'm the voice of the folks at home. If Rick's too deep, I bring it down to the bone. AITV, news, deep dives, and creation.
Here we are.
AITV,
Yeah, it's time.
I love this song.
AITV, more human amplified.
We got to get some real dancing with some astronaut outfits on here. Yeah. Are you guys ready? It's time. It's time for AITV. I'm Rick McCauley, the AI guy, here with producer Brandon. Brandon, how you doing tonight?
I am great. I'm happy to be here.
Let's launch this rocket ship. So we got a lot of stuff to go over tonight. We're just going to have a lot of fun. Our deep dive tonight is for sure going to be NotebookLM. We're also going to talk about the latest news and what's going on in the world in AI, and we're going to do a deep dive on copyright. Pretty much everything you need to know. We're going to be spinning off our 3 sections. This is just if you haven't been here before. We got 3 parts. We start with 20 minutes, or actually 10 minutes tonight in news, because we got so much else to do. Then we got a deep dive on some subject. Tonight's subject is going to be copyright law and what's going on with AI and copyright in a bunch of different perspectives. Then we're going to take that exact thing and then do a tool time episode about Google Notebook LM. The beauty of Google Notebook LM is great for educators. It's great for anybody that wants to create their own large language model. It's like creating your own curated library and then be able to use it in all kinds of ways to create quizzes, to create entire courses. In fact, we're going to show you how to exactly do that tonight. So stay tuned. You guys are ready. Let's go. All right. Let's start off with what's happening in the news there, Brendan.
Yeah, so nothing much, just an average week in AI.
So to get started, we've got good old Meta as dropping these glasses that look like Dorksville, but they still sound pretty cool. $800 coming out by September 30th. So here is... if you look at the top, James Cameron is in on this. He's looking to use and create some new 3D stuff for the whole metaverse. So it not only includes these stylish kind of, who's the singer? There's a guy who used to wear really big, thick glasses. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of the name off the top of my head.
Man, it's like,
I own a pair of Meta Ray-Ban sunglasses. And they are really well formed. I the sunglasses because it kind of hides the thickness of the frame because it's shaded, right? And so you can't really tell that there's anything special. And so what this does is it adds that complexity of having that vision, which I don't know if you remember Google Glasses way back in the day, when everyone was calling people glassholes for wearing them because they looked like tech. This doesn't look like tech. This looks natural, and
it's a little bit thicker than natural. I guess maybe just Mark Zuckerberg just doesn't look good in anything. He's just kind of a strange looking alien or something. I don't know. When you get rich, you kind of look like an alien. I think that's Elon Musk.
Yeah, and he certainly didn't look good on stage. Their demo had a complete flop when he was trying to demo this. But having all of the standard features and the when it works, the neural band that they have, the wristband, it's really cool because it allows you to just write like your fingers, and it picks up like you're holding a pen, but you don't actually have to hold a pen, and it'll allow you to write a message,
Right.
write a message.
So in this picture, it's that band that you wear on your wrist, and it's giving you, it's sensing what your fingers and hands are doing. So you turn up the
Yep.
volume, you swipe left and right and do. So what all can you do? Can you run your whole phone system through it and see what's going on?
Not so
I've
it's
heard
all
you
Meta
tried to.
exclusive. Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
Meta exclusive apps. So it's
Oh,
basically an
okay.
extension of the Meta ecosystem on your device. But
Oh, so
for all of the
Facebook and
things,
okay,
Facebook, WhatsApp,
Instagram. Okay.
Instagram,
Oh,
Meta.
okay. So WhatsApp could be cool. You can take phone calls and stuff and do it in English,
Yep.
Spanish, whatever language. All right.
Yep. And then when you're talking to somebody, having the translation up on your screen is closed captioning in your language of choice.
There we go.
A lot of cool things. But I think that for me, whether you're using the new version or the old version, it really allows me to be present in that moment with the kids
Yeah.
and going on vacation, being able to say, "Hey, Meta, take a picture," and just have it take that picture
It
without having to reach out for my phone, unlock it, queue up the
yeah.
frame. Like it just allows you to have that immersive experience. And
Yeah, I didn't get
I
a
think these
chance yet
wearables are going
to
to be the future.
yeah. I saw a couple of videos. I didn't get a chance to put a video up here for you guys, but you should definitely check it out because one thing I liked, it's sort of off to the right of center of your eyes. So you kind of see it in its own little infosphere. And then you got that hand gesture thing. Um, and nobody from the outside sees what you're looking at, which is kind of magical. And it's got full progressive lenses and it has tinting. So it's automatic tinting if you're in the sun. In fact, let's go to the next slide. I think I showed a couple of things. And unlike most products, in fact, I'm not going to get the new iPhone. I canceled my order because I'm just like lame if I'm going to pay that kind of money for something that's really not that great. This thing's available September 30th, and you can see what it looks like. The sideband is a little thick, but it's only like 10 grams more than the weight of a regular pair of really thick sunglasses. And if you've got your prescription lens in there, you're good to go. So that's not bad, I think I might. I paid that for my watch, right? So, but I've got
Yeah.
satellite phone or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of interesting as to what's next.
And I would say for you, Rick, as the dangerous man, I could totally see you just rocking one of those
Rocking it, yeah.
spectacles.
Because I've
Buddy
had
Holiday, I
Ray-Ban.
think, is I think Buddy Holiday is the person that
That's
we were
it.
thinking
That's
of.
it, Buddy Holiday. That's the
Thanks
guy.
to Fairy Tale in the comments coming with that,
Oh, there you go.
coming in
Okay, I
hot
gotta
with
check
that.
out these comments because somehow
Um,
I'm not seeing them. Okay.
So now I will say before you
Oh,
go
thanks.
out, and you're not in the Google ecosystem. So
Oh, no, I am. I am. Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Let me back up because I'm fully into it. In fact, Google
well,
Notebook
but
LM has been my buddy, and I got Gemini, and I got 5 terabytes. I got the whole thing. We'll talk about that.
in terms
I'm
of
not in
hardware,
Pixelverse. I'm not in the
yes,
Pixelverse.
yeah, the Pixelverse. So when I went out to Google I/O back in May, which is Google's tech conference, they had a product very similar to what Meta just unveiled. It's still
Oh,
in
okay.
testing mode. It's still in an alpha. It's not even in a
Okay.
beta yet. It's still in alpha. But what I saw, if you like Google and you like this whole immersive technology bit,
Yeah.
you might want to hold
Okay.
till next year.
Yeah.
But because I'll tell you what was the most impressive parlor trick that they did at that demo is they had a entire like lens crafters in the back of the tent, and they took
Yep.
my lens, they took my glasses, my prescription glasses, and they actually converted the demo set into a pair of glasses that I could actually experience without having to
Yeah.
do the 4 lenses on
Yeah.
top.
So I went to the Apple store and I got the vision goggles, those $4,000, whatever the heck they are, right? And they do that
Mhm.
too. So they read your glasses, then put in progressive lenses so you're actually seeing perfectly clear. And that's
Yeah.
part of the sort of lens itself, and it's part of the whole ecosystem. So that's cool. Progressive is always what I buy. So when I go out in the sun, I don't want to put on a separate pair of glasses. I want to keep the same ones, especially for $800. Although I have paid $800 for a regular standard pair of glasses. I'm not going to lie. So if it's
Isn't it
got all the
amazing that now the $800 is, gets you
man,
the wearable and the tech?
Yeah, take my money, baby. This is definitely. In fact, just to show you, go to the next slide, and I'll tell you show you why I'm saying. Okay, so here's James Cameron. He's talking about Boz, about making filmmaking and 3D filmmaking. So he loves the technology. And then here's this MetaQuest headset with the games that are in it. So MetaQuest is the big, like the vision goggles that Apple has, right? Is that the whole? I have not used
Yep.
those, but the
Yeah.
Meta the whole goggle set, it's immersive. That's the future of play for sure, and the present of play, I guess, too, right? And everybody's just trying to get smaller and smaller. Apple, geez, they're just way behind. They've never been first at bat, but they've always been best at bat, usually batting cleanup until complete failure on Siri. I mean, I almost looked at the Pixel, not seriously, but so we can joke about it. And let's go to the next slide because this is sort of cool too. So you can go online and actually try them out, as I did. There you go. So you can do the virtual
Nice.
tryout. I put the $799 in there just to kind of, not sure. Wow, that's my cursor. Okay, yeah, just to kind of see what they would look like. And they're little Buddy Holly. So I'm got to wear a hat or something to make them look, quite right. But they're clear to gray transitions, so that's nice. The bridge is kind of high. Yeah, I mean, it's not too far off. I mean, I wear super thin, super lightweight glasses. That's why they're expensive, because you can, fold, spindle, and mutilate. But yeah, I'd give it a shot, So come September 30th, my birthday's in October. So, if somebody don't get it for me, I'll get it for myself.
There you go.
All right.
So what else we got going on?
Well, so in the future, is going to be a $10,000. Is this true? Is this possible? So there's two things that you've been hearing about Elon. Of course, he's the master of hype, and 5 years later, he finally lands the plane, as we say here on the show. He lands the plane, he comes out with a self-driving car, and he's finally got some taxis, just a few of them. It's going okay. He's already announced he's got a flexible, foldable phone that is satellite all the time. And then I started watching these. Literally in my feed, there were 10,000 of these. This one on the left, I watched the entire thing. It was like an hour long. They talked about how it has 2 complete engines. And, so anyway, supposedly by next year, there'll be a $10,000 car. BS. The whole thing is a lie. It's a chatbot, what we call AI slop. So, Brandon, we were on your show last night talking about AI slop. Can you explain to the folks what AI slop is and how this kind of qualifies at the edges of AI slop?
Yeah, so AI slop, as we're defining it here, is AI without effort. So we have AI that's curating, and somebody that says, "Give me a prompt, and I'm going to spit out just whatever the model gives me, and I'm just going to run with it." And what we've done here is we've taken that to the next level, is intentional hallucination. So
Yes.
we have somebody who's taken some very realistic video. Obviously, Rick's watching this for an hour, and you're like, wow, we can finally get a $10,000 Tesla. They've come way down in price.
It looked good. I was willing to pay probably 50,000 for it. I really would have. And that's what it's going to be. 70,000, I think, is what the target price is. But for some reason, there were literally 70 of these, all with robotic voices, all with really incredible infographics. So it took apart the car, showed the back end, and I'm sure that there's some forest full of little videos where, Elon puts a bunch of stuff out there, and so you go to the corporate website, but it's carved together just exquisitely beautiful. In fact, isn't Descript sort of one of those pieces of software that agentically will edit your video together? Is that the new one? What is Descript all about? Tell me, do you know more about it than I do?
Yeah, so Descript is just an AI editor of video. So you take your video source material and it'll chop it up for you and put the AI spin on it with narration and things like that. But I think what's really critical here is that YouTube is demonetizing these. They've identified this as a problem in their ecosystem. They want to get out ahead of it. So they're going to say,
I looked at 20 more just grabbing these clips. I'm like, holy shit, there's Elon himself. It must be true. And he's talking to what's his name, the comedian down the bottom right hand corner.
Jay Leno, yeah. Now, Rick, we
Jay
talked about
Leno.
this. You can't believe everything you see on the internet. We've had this conversation in the pre-show, but so there's a difference. So they will let this content be on their platform. They are not kicking it off because they are all about creative expression. What they
Right.
have said, though, is that if you are a clickbait farm that is just churning this stuff out at nauseum, they're not going to
Yeah.
pay you for it. So you cannot monetize it. You can't get ad share
Yeah.
revenue. You can't get subscription. You can't get super likes. They're not going
There
to,
you
there's
go.
no monetary incentive for the companies to do this, which was their hope
Which is,
when
I'm
doing this.
sure,
So
why
hopefully
they
this is
did it.
just going to be a flash in the pan.
Or if you're a conspiracy theorist, it's China trying to kill us all by our disinformation campaigns or something. I don't know. It just, but so the other part of AI slop is like you just hit roll on Suno, right? And you just let it do its thing. And you put in, make me a song about a hamster, and then you put it out online, and you waste all of our intellectual property, energy, and all that kind of stuff, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So
So what's this
YouTube
next?
is really making strides in trying to get out ahead of this from an AI perspective, but they also finally recognized that live is where the people are, and especially with TikTok being divested to the U.S. and the powerhouses over at Oracle later this week.
Okay.
They are starting to turn their lens back towards live, and they just made the biggest update to YouTube Studio for content creators in YouTube history. And so what we're
Wow.
looking at here is the ability to stream finally in 1080p horizontally and vertically, and also engage with comments both inside of the mobile device as well as on your browser. So this has been a huge pain point for creators, and they're really just turning back towards live. They've been on shorts for a little bit. We've put up shorts of this show because that's where the eyeballs have been. So YouTube is finally starting to turn the attention back to lives, hopefully to start to capture some of that audience off of TikTok, where TikTok made people famous with lives, because you'd just be scrolling on your For You page and you'd come up with a live of somebody that the algorithm was suggesting to you. YouTube doesn't really do that with lives. You have to really seek out the content, or in our case, promote the content to get people to show up to the lives.
Yeah. So I've been talking to my students about why they use TikTok so much, and it's because it's literally target focus for what you watched yesterday, and it's a Netflix thing where it looks at everything you ever watched and then suggests these things. So your go flow is happening right at you, and whatever you're jonesing for, you're going to get. So it's got the algorithm dialed in as to what you want. So on the other side, YouTube is sort of a passive old man kind of thing going on here. And then, in fact, to give some behind the scenes as to what we've been doing, when we put up the live, it's not even transcribed. So when I tried to do a summary of everything, I used Google Notebook to kind of summarize it. It said there's no content here. There's no text to read. So it couldn't ingest that. Then if you chop it up, you want to put it into 20-minute segments because that gets some likes. But so what software are you using, Brandon, to give you those 90-second, those really short, quick ones?
Yeah, so we use a tool called Opus Clip that allows us to analyze the entire content of the show and pull out those bits that we feel are going to be most relevant to the audience.
So Opus Clip, excuse me, is looking for like emotional high and low points, or like excitement, energy. And it pulled out some really good ones because, 90-minute show, I can't imagine, Brandon, what it would be like if you had to literally listen to the whole thing back and decide it's this clip. And then you got to put it into a vertical deck on deck. Then you got to transcribe it. And then the word for word transcription happens. And you're doing that. How long does it take you to typically chop it up?
If we're doing it manually, it's 2 to 3 hours worth of work. And Opus Clip does it in about 12 minutes.
But with Opus Clip, what does that do?
Yeah, it's about 12 minutes.
They're using AI because they're so damned corrupt. They're using AI to run their government. And of course, they got a human in a loop and everything, but like just to double check to make sure, they're not walking off with everything, which has happened many times in many countries. God, I wish we could get one of those here. What would that mean to First Amendment and Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I left it there because it's something for a deeper dive. I mean, but around the world, it's that way too. We've got that AI slop, which also means that you're just a lazy artist and that you really can't call yourself an artist because you're not even human because you're handing over the reins to let AI run it, right? Now, this I think could be a machine of loving grace moment. And you'll hear me talk about this a lot. But the idea that we use AI for what it's good at, for running the government, for seeking out. So I'm the state. I'm the governor for the state of Florida, let's say, and I want to know what the people want. AI could do a constant 24/7 poll to get the zeitgeist and to know where the money should go, where it's going to be most effective, and do forecasting that's 7 generations ahead. In the time that it takes us to get money in the pocket of the guy through some corporate overlord or some super PAC and buy the governor of the state of Florida, which is pretty much bought and
Well, wait a
sold.
minute. Isn't this what Grok was supposed to do for us with the Department of Government Efficiency and Elon
Except
coming in there?
except all he did is install a back door to the Treasury Department and start taking money out of it. That's what he's really doing. AI could be used for good or for evil. So I put this in here because I actually do think this is a potential solution to even our problem. But the trick is
Yeah.
you got to
And
find
so,
someone who's honest enough. You got to get some pope or something to run the damn thing. So we're running it, without getting payola mixed into it, because it does what
yeah,
you design it to do, right? And
exactly.
designing a better
So,
government is not what we're good at the moment.
this is a really interesting use case because I think with safeguards, this has potential to really be good at a good level of accountability.
True
And
democratization and fact checking.
I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole because that's not what the show's about. But I
Yeah, it's another
believe
episode for another
that this
time.
but I believe that the solution lies somewhere in the blockchain. Now, blockchain technology got
Yeah,
kind of a bad rap during the crypto scams of the
yep,
early 2020s. But I think the technology that can prove in a democratized fashion, you made this change and you have
yeah,
that locked in.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. In
Forget
fact,
counting hanging chads on ballots. You
that's it.
could
That's
have
it.
a verifiable vote. And what with
Which
Sam Altman's doing with the iris scanning, where it makes it's a real ID. Forget bringing your driver's license for voter ID. Imagine having to scan your iris for biometrics to say, "Yep, you can vote."
Yeah, I did check out a Whole Foods with my palm. Like literally, you
I
could check
did.
out with your
Oh my
palm.
gosh, that's
So
amazing.
that's pretty cool. And then I have been to the Amazon store where you just drive your card out and you own the food, you own the whatever you bought there. So
Yep.
I believe in that. I mean, it worries me because it's got lots of potential for corruption. But anyway, so this is a good transition because what we're going to talk about tonight is copyright. And we're going to talk a deep dive from 3 different perspectives. So, first of all, I want you to understand where copyright AI is right now. Now, this is a friend of mine that this is the current copyright state of the art decision that was made. So, my friend Chris Castanova, who is an evangelist for Adobe. In fact, follow her on LinkedIn and everywhere because she's got the best stuff. Nana Banana gets into Firefly, and she's showing you use cases that we looked at last week, actually. So
We've
she's the
got to get
one.
her on the show at some point, Rick.
Yeah, we got
Just
to
so
get
you
her on
know.
the show. So I met her actually when she was petitioning to get this picture on the left. It was one picture. She was in Mid Journey. This is quite a while ago. I forget the date of this. What does it say on there? 2023? Yeah,
Mhm.
2023 February. Okay. So a couple years ago. And I met her on Facebook and I was following her and tried to talk to her lawyer and stuff. But anyway, long story short, takes the one picture, Mid Journey, puts it in there. Copyright says, yes, you got copyright. No, you don't. Wait a minute. They realized that she uses Mid Journey to get it. So then she said, let me put together an entire story, Zariah of the Dawn. It's a whole pamphlet, booklet, comic book with a storyline and a couple of hundred pictures in there. Submit it again, granted. Okay, so here's the weight of the problem. So go to the next slide, and we've got this decision based upon that. Copyright has never been stretched so far as to protect works generated by new forms of technology operating absent any guided human hand. So it's human authorship. is the bedrock of copyright. So just to get you an idea of why you want copyright. So when you create something brand new and you're not cheating and copying Spider-Man and putting it on a t-shirt, that's an absolute against the law, and you will be fined and sued vehemently if you try that. So don't try it. But where it becomes really interesting is when you go to prove it. So if I say I made that piece of that photograph, and then someone else makes a photograph just like it, if I have not gone to the copyright office, what you're doing when you put it up there, you can e-certify it. So you upload it, you pay $65, and then it's in the vault. So when the judge says, when did you make this picture? It used to be you would mail it to yourself and you got a US postal stamp. Well, you're just putting it into a vault. So that when someone says, that's my picture, says, nope, that's my picture, and here's proof, and the government's holding on to it as evidence. So think of it that way. So you got a clear picture. Now, why would you want to spend $65 per photograph? Or you can upload about 1,000 at a time. Whatever you can put up there in 45 minutes, you can get copyright as far as photography. It's just an evidence locker.
Wait, is that $65 per submission?
Per submission, and you have 45 minutes. Now, there's music has different qualifications. We'll talk about. You can get the copyright on the entire thing, which is what the companies do with Prince music, for example, or you can get it for an entire play that I'm doing for my summer Year Without a Summer. And so you can do it for an album of music, and you can also do it as a songwriter, just the lyrics. But why you want it is this. It's generational wealth. That means that not only does the government know and have it in the evidence locker, so if somebody challenges you, you don't have to prove you owned it first. That's the biggest problem. So you get it as part of U.S. copyright law. You have copyright. My Year Without Summer is mine. However, somebody challenges me, I have the burden of proof. If they've already got the evidence, the burden of proof is on the perpetrator. Okay, so let's go further with this. What do you get for this? 70 years after you die. So the example is Steamboat Willie was the original Mickey Mouse. That has lapsed. So it's been 70 years past the death of Disney. So, and it's from the date of the inception of that Steamboat Willie. So Mickey Mouse fully protected, but Steamboat Willie, you could do vile things with Steamboat Willie, and it don't matter because it's nobody's property anymore. So it's like open source art, it's in the public domain. That's the proper word. So let's go to the next slide and see what happens. All right. So that's what we're doing. So we're protecting something that corporation says, and here's what happened to Prince. So the reason why he put slave on his face, and this is actually a generated image, but I took his face with the word slave exactly as it written, is that in a bold act of protest against Warner Brothers, they put on his contract the word the artist. So they own the artist. So he says, I'm not going to sign this contract because I want to own my own intellectual property. He made 25% of every dollar. The corporation, Warner Brothers, owns 75% of everything from his intellectual property. All right. So imagine that you're Prince, and he got generous. I mean, most artists, 7%. That's all they get. So they're the ones that create all this stuff. They're the ones that go on the road. They're the ones that ruin their life and under threat of death from crazy people and whatever. So he decided, hey, I'm going to change my name. So I'm the artist formerly known as Prince. And then he used the love symbol. And then he basically wrote an album called Emancipation. So literally, he freed himself from the slave owners of these corporations. And then so by adopting that love symbol, he took back ownership and reclaimed his identity artistically. I mean, this was at the time kind of a quiet thing, but then back in that day, the frictional cost to advertise, to make CD-ROMs, to put them in the stores, to put it on TV commercials, that was a lot of money. So 75% is what it cost to get you famous. So what happened with Napster? All of a sudden, all that friction went to zero. And what did we do? We all downloaded. Yeah, I still have like 10 terabytes worth of, Napster downloads that I've never listened to, but like I could go back and listen to every song that Prince ever did, probably, right?
You're a digital hoarder, Rick. That's what we call that.
Right? Yeah. And they were talking about that anyway. So let's fast forward and let's see what's post Napster. What has copyright done recently? and what does ownership mean? So let's take a look at the next slide. And by contrast, you have Taylor Swift. So this is created in ideogram, by the way, with ChatGPT being the prompter. I'm going to go through a go flow thing where how I do all this stuff, right? So Taylor Swift was owned by the record company, and she decided, hey, what if I bought all my masters? So she bought the master recordings of everything, but since she did not pay the people that play guitar and musical instruments and everything else and the recording studio, she had to remaster her masters. But since she wrote many of the songs, she fully got 100% of her ownership. And what she didn't own, she bought from the corporations that owned it. So now here we go. Post Napster, frictionless economy. How do you get to be Taylor Swift? You're just a beautiful soul that does good things. And then you take that money and a $4 billion trail follows you from city to city. This is true, and I'm not making this up. It's reported in the Wall Street Journal. She goes to a city and the cost of housing, or the highest, it goes up 20%. Real estate goes up 20% because she was there. Like, that's crazy. That's the long coattails of an economic system that's built on an individual. Man, this has potential.
And I got to say, just on as a side note, one of the most generous artists that we've seen in our generation.
Yeah. So like everybody that drove a truck that built her set, she pays them extra. She pays for their kids to go to college. I mean, if you just just run a Google search on this woman, she's absolutely beautiful. You know, I probably the only person to give more money out is probably Microsoft, Bill Gates. He's probably the only one. Maybe there's a couple others too. Melinda Gates is doing pretty well. You know, just a couple other people are doing great. So Warren Buffett's doing a great job. You know, it's this idea. What if we could shift it to all of us being beautiful people like this? And
I didn't tell you, Rick, but next week, Taylor Swift will not be on our show.
Oh man, I've been. Oh man. Okay.
Although they have been house hunting in Cleveland, because Travis Kelce is from here.
I gotta come see you just to see Taylor, huh? Well, you know, my daughter went. My niece is a Swiftie for sure, right? So she brought our folks down. Collectively, these 4 girls, women actually, because they're in their 30s now, right? Came down and spent $8,000 in the Miami economy for just a weekend event, you know? So yeah, she's an economy, and it's economy that I believe in, you know? So her music's okay, but it's not my particular thing, but I'll pay to get someone go to a concert that enjoys it, just because I think that's how we all should be, right? Generous, and giving, instead of being owned. Let's stop the slavery. Let's get on with it. So let's go to the next slide. This is where it gets really interesting. This is where it gets personal for me.
Yeah.
So this is my life as a musician. So there I am, playing trumpet, you know, fat little kid with, I had to put books in front of my breast because they were bigger than most women in the school there. I played first trumpet. I went all the way through. Those are my best friends. David New ends up being the University of Florida's head of the union. And then Hammond Tree, I forget what he did. All of us kids in Gainesville, Florida, we did big things. And I learned from that. Then you got me in the middle with my Macintosh Plus, and I had synthesizers hooked up to it. Then you see me recording music and all this kind of stuff. So I grew up in Japan and went all through this. So anyway, so I am working with Adobe right now because Adobe created content credentials. What is this, you might ask? You can embed indelibly, I don't know if I can say this right, but you can put it into your song. You can put it in your PDF, your photograph. In fact, Canon, Leica, Nikon, Sony, when you click it, you can choose to embed in it. It's mine. It has your address, phone number, and it will go back to you. So literally like a QR code, you point your camera at the photograph and it looks it up and tells you who owns it. So you can go buy it. And that's where you get to the blockchain, right, Brandon? So I'm trying to convince, the reason why this was created is because Adobe wants to protect the New York Times and all the others. We'll get to this at the very end, but here's my story. So that first question we said is human capital investment. That's the magic word that I'm going with Adobe to try to set precedent for the new law. So what did the Copyright Office say? You can't get it from AI creations. AI cannot get it. But how much human capital investment do I have to put in before it's human rather than AI? That's why I've created this new system. So let's check out what this is. So what I'm trying to prove is on the song on the left, you see that piece of paper in the middle at the top? That's my handwritten song 40 years ago. It's a letter. It's a song, the song that you're seeing right there called Hope You're My One and Only. It was called at the time, I'm going the wrong way down a one-way street of dreams. Because that woman to the right, that's when I was dating her. That was my wife of 27 years and 2 children, Lisa Gibbs, the love of my life. And I was with her till the end, until she decided the end was 27 years in. But anyway, long story short, she was living with this guy, UM, was a student there, was living with him. And I just was best friends. And she was an intern at the Miami Herald, then got hired full time. And we worked together constantly. We were just like best friends for a year and a half. And then finally I said, this is the woman for me. She's the woman I'm supposed to marry. So I wrote the song basically talking about, I'm going down past logic and reason, past people that are saying you're crazy, but I'm driving down the wrong way. So I wrote this song. And then if we go to the next one, so that's us at an event that we went to. I photographed a punk rock club called Fire and Ice. And that was the exhibition, the photographs that I did. She and I hand painted over the top of these photographs, portraits of people in punk outfits and stuff. So here I am. And I wanted to make an actual album, but here are some songs that I wrote. These are all have this provenance list of where it came from. So human capital investment is a measure you can see there, right? It's a 40-year-old song. And Suno just allowed me, instead of paying $10,000 to get recording studio together and then have orchestration and someone to figure out the music, is that I can take it. Now, what I want you to think about in the modern world is the sort of Steven Spielberg idea, but also the corporate idea. So what did the corporations do for Prince? They paid for the people to record the sessions. They paid for the recording to happen. They paid for the distribution. That's very expensive. So what we've got now is that's gone away. But what do? I pay for Suno subscription. So that's the old $10,000 I would have spent on. So help me make sure this metaphor is clear to everybody. So as long as I have the commercial license that I do get from Suno, it says you have commercial use of this property if you pay the $10 a month or $20 a month or whatever it is. So, okay, so I got that handled. And then when it makes it, I'm spending literally 100 iterations of each and every song. Then I'm making the artwork. Each of these is 1,000 prompts in ideogram based on ChatGPT, conversion of the lyrics, and creating the lyrics in ChatGPT. Literally, it's a 4,000 hours easily for just the songs you see on the page here. Okay, plus 65 years life experience, which is what I'm measuring things by. All right, so I want to do this. So I end up, over my lifetime, I've written so many songs. So I had all the books, and then I had all the ideas, and then I start thinking of other ideas. And so basically, let's go to the next one.
And I want to call out that just your chain of craft and what you've put into this, the amount of work into this. Reid Hoffman, who said the 10,000 prompts is the new 10,000 hours to become an expert at something.
Oh, I love that line. I love that line. Let's pull that quote out. Say that one more time.
Reid Hoffman is attributed with saying 10,000 prompts is the new 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours referencing Malcolm Gladwell's how long it takes to become an expert at something. So 10,000 prompts is now the new 10,000 hours.
And the thing I would add on top of that is blood, sweat, and tears you put into it. So every one of these stories is either a romantic, beautiful experience, as you'll see in a minute. But this is Suno. If you haven't used it before, definitely try it. Here are the songs, the best ones that I've done. So I think I've recorded over 4,000 so far. And out of it, I'm playing 100.
You can, by the way, once you go to Suno, you can just search for Rick Macaulay as the name, and you can see what Rick has published on the Suno platform. You can also
which
search
is very
Brandon
little
AI.
because I want to copyright before I publish.
Yeah. But if you go to Brandon AI, that's where you can see what I've published on there.
Okay.
And I'm not so I'm not as critical, so I just put it out there.
I think what I'll do is I'll put Nana Banana up there for everybody. And here's actually my goal, just to kind of, well, let's go to the next slide. And we'll go further from there. So to kind of prove this, so this is my YouTube channel. If you go on the YouTube channel, not only are you going to find, this is an old screenshot, but you're going to find all of this TV shows for now anyway, or we'll talk about that later. But you're going to find me and my voice cloned doing a song. So let's get to that next. So, but that's where you're going to find everything about me. So if you're curious what I'm doing, so my process is I use ChatGPT to write the words, and I spend like iterative times. So even in the old days, crafting a song, I'm really good at storytelling. So I think the thing that gives me a superpower is, number one, I had 15 years as a photojournalist, which means a journalist. I have seen the brightest journalists in the world ask the best questions. I watch Mike Douglas forever. I watch every interviewer forever. I want to try to be pretty good at this show, but I've learned all of it for 65 years of watching other people do it. So I got my 10,000 hours watching, and then I'm trying to be the best version of myself. So, and then on the right, ideogram gets text dead on. So my chain of craft is ChatGPT, generate the lyrics, generate the prompts from the lyrics to create the artwork. And you see here rose-colored glasses and dolly mustaches, which you can see is a masterwork, one of my favorite pieces I've ever done.
So which one of these is you on the right?
Oh, those are just for those who are about to rock. So I saw a friend of mine, and this is something that a lot of people do, and it's cool to do it. You go on Midjourney, you go on Ideogram, you look at what somebody's done, and then my thing is you add value to it. You flip it somehow. So if you find a style, in fact, the new Midjourney thing, which we'll talk about probably in one of the next tool times for sure, has added this SREF library where you can see, ooh, I like the style there. You copy the style code, the SREF, and you add it to yours automatically, and bingo, you're making them just like this by just changing what you want to have different. So if you have a Salvador Dali kind of code, then you go over, then you do that. So, and by the way, style is not copyrightable. So that's another legal thing. We just need to get out of the way. All right.
Yeah. And so, when I use Suno a lot, but I use it more personal. So like my kids, one of the things you can do with Suno is you can upload audio and have it extend or kind of use that audio as inspiration. And we were at a playground over the summer, and my son started playing on one of those played xylophone, phone things. And I recorded just like a 5-second clip, and I gave it to Suno. I said, do something with this. And it made a beautiful song. And he comes,
we definitely got to do a Suno.
School.
Hey, would you get your kids on for a Suno episode? Because that would be awesome.
I will. Yeah, because he'll come home from school and he'll be like, Dad, can we listen to my song? And he's 4 and he's taking ownership of the fact that he had. He's like, that was my recording that you used to inspire that song.
Oh, so that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And that's it.
So
The future is democratize the ability for everybody to make art. And the question is, are you making slop? So now on the one side, let me kind of separate the nuance here, because I think what you're saying is super important. You make art because you want it. And that's your child's vision of art. And it should be, right? If you make a living at doing it, if you're Taylor Swift, you've got a level at a bar at which you are universally accepted as so excellent that you're a star, right? So between that, so you play basketball for fun. And then if you want to be LeBron James, you got to put in 100,000 hours, and you got to be born that way to be able to do that, on top of getting the right opportunities that put in your way, the right coaching, the right whatever, right? So life is a complicated sequence of events, and we can't say AI is never art. In the hands of an artist, a camera that I click one time is an art, and I win a Pulitzer for my work, right? So that's a differentiator I think people aren't nuanced enough to accept. We use, I heard people try to use the capital art in kind of a way, and then some people would call Taylor Swift not an artist in that way. But, that's all bullshit. It's how much effort and how much acceptance you get for being a popular artist That's a measure of an artist, but also very serious artist. Salvador Dali was both a pop artist, but he was also a surrealist mastermind in the big art world, with all capital letters. So there is that sort of mixture, which, we need the nuance, because I think
And it
artists
is
are,
subjective.
yeah, and
It is
art's a
very
verb.
subjective.
I'm
Yes.
absolutely positive art's a verb. It's the act of why you're doing it, what you're doing, what you're trying to do, your intentionality as to whether or not
Yep.
you get famous for it or not, and then your effort, right? Your blood, sweat, and tears. What am I talking about? I like to take really bad things that happen in my life and turn them into beautiful things. So
I
let's go to the
mean,
next one, because this will land the plane
what
with how this all works together.
yeah, and I do want to say I was not prepared for this slide. I do want to say that if duct taping a banana to a wall is art, then my kids have been making art around here for.
I was there when he did it. Literally, I was there when he did it. Crazy, right? All right. So here's the story. My girlfriend and I go to St. Pete, Florida. We stay in a hotel, and you'll see all this right next, So at the Dali Museum, you can talk to Salvador Dali. It's ChatGPT on a lobster phone, which he made the lobster phone. So I'm sitting there, and behind me, you can see the transcript. And this is what Dali said to me on the lobster phone. I said, "What do you think about AI? AI is a splendid quandary. Artificial intelligence, alchemical Crimea, melting the surreal and the hyperreal in a dance. In the light trope of imagination and logic, creating a sublime paradox, a new dreamscape for mankind. Wondrous visions, explore it bravely." Should be a Spanish accent, but I can't quite do all that at once, right? So I'm there. We're having a great time, and I love Dolly's work, and I'm finding things I didn't know about him. All right, it's cool. And then I find this little kids section, and they had it where you can make coloring books and stuff like this. So I went into the room, and it was empty. So I borrowed some pipe cleaners. I wore this the whole day. I'm not joking, right? Let's go to the next slide.
I was hoping that was AI generated, but
No, I don't even have the imagination to come up with this. Okay, here's my girlfriend and my ex-girlfriend now, but for 7 years. So this is a romantic weekend. We stayed at the Crystal Bay Hotel. So this is a postcard from the hotel.
Wait a minute, Rick. Did she break up with you after you put the pipe cleaner in your nose?
No. In fact, she was more deeply in love with me than ever. And I in love with her too. I do miss her a bit. But anyway, I'm not trying to make up or do anything. Whatever, the past. But it was a beautiful thing. So we stayed in the same place Marilyn Monroe and Babe Ruth stayed. And so this is the letterhead. In fact, next time I go there, it's going to be in the Marilyn's room because it was really beautiful. So I wrote a song from Dolly in the dreamscape of Crystal Bay Hotel, where reality bends and imagination surges. Love blooms like lobster telephone. Wish you were here. Glad we are here. Dali. So after seeing his whole 360 panorama thing, I decide I want to write a song about this experience. Next slide. Okay.
I do want you to tell us a little bit more about your process of. So you said if you're paying the $10 a month, Suno will let you copyright it. But then how do you actually get that copyright? Is that where you go?
Oh, okay. So what I've done is I've actually made an entire book with PDFs. So each song is going to be an MP3. That's what they prefer at the Copyright Office. Next to it is all the script of all the words in it. And then I've made a PDF of all what you saw before, which is basically all of my evidence chain. And so I have the song with the link to Suno when it was published on Suno, with the receipt that I paid Suno for the recording, blah, blah, blah. And then I show my provenance of how I got there. So this is what I put into Evidence Locker for them.
Gotcha.
So this folder, which is just 2 PDFs with a MP3 in it, is what I submit. And what I'm doing is you can put up to 10 songs at a time to get a submission. Because $65, I don't know which one of these is going to produce money for me. And then what my goal is I'm going to, once it's copyrighted, all of it, 120 songs, by the way, and an entire play, and a bunch of books anyway. Once it's copyrighted, I'm going to release it to the world. And I'm going to say, whatever artist can take the AI out, meaning they have to sing it and they have to record it on a live instrument with performers. If they can get the most number of views, I'm going to give them 60% ownership of the song. And I will keep 40%, which is the writer's credit. Every time a Taylor Swift song, if it's written by somebody else, that writer gets 40%. So that's what I'm looking to do. I
All
literally
right,
want to
fix
go
my
all over
audio here, so we're ready to rock and roll.
Oh, okay, yeah. So play this puppy.
World where the ocean becomes our bed. The sheets ripple like waves in our heads. Beneath the skies of lemon drops, we dream in hues of rose and time stops.
Still a little light.
Dawn where clocks melt away, we wander through landscapes in endless ballet. With dolly mustaches, we laugh and we sway. A picnic of oranges with black ants and play. Your body undulates like a canvas above. In this realm we paint with the brush of our love. Colored glasses and Salvador Dali mustaches. We dance through the night in this dream that crashes.
So you get the basic idea. So I literally wrote it till 2 o'clock in the morning. So you can see the words and everything. So Suno makes this for you, so you can post it to social media, and you can also share it there. It's got the words and everything. So now my work with Adobe right now. So they created Content Authenticity Initiative. That was to protect the New York Times picture, story, and everything. So it's basically fingerprinting the documents. And it's saying that these pixels exist. If you change one word in the story, it breaks the fingerprint. So literally, it's a completely, and it's given free to the world. It's the greatest gift of all time. Now, C2PA is content authenticity turned into content credentials. That, if you've seen the little CP thing in the top corner on LinkedIn, every time you put an AI image up there, it says, here, we're labeling it this way. This is the future of what YouTube's going to do. So when you put up all that Tesla stuff to drive it back through this whole cycle of story we're talking about, it will actually be up there saying this was AI slop, basically. In fact, when I went to review it, it said, is this AI? Does that bother you? It had some weird new thing. Instead of just liking it, it said it warned you that this was not real. And were you offended by it, or was it something you want to have taken down? So they're putting extra pressure so that they don't get slop. I mean, because the potential is Spotify could generate all the music for all the people that ever wanted and never pay a single artist ever again. Or we can demand that they label everything human or not. And what Facebook hasn't done, because they make all their money off of outragement, is they haven't put those credentials on there, even though they could easily do it. So remember, we were talking about the little girl with the dog in the rowboat, dying in a flood. That was BS. It looked so real. All they had to do was tag it, and then the millions of likes and links and everything, it would put them out of business. And then if you made it so that you could get sued if someone believed it something and did something harmful to themselves, then Facebook would be dead a million years ago, right?
Yeah.
And it would come back with maybe Blue Sky or somebody who is at least trying to be ethical and labels everything, or LinkedIn. I have mad respect for LinkedIn to taking that step. But, Adobe did the hard work. So what I'm saying is, let's calculate the amount of human capital investment. So next slide. This is my basic offer to Adobe. So, here's the content credentials. So if you want to check it out, in Photoshop, you can embed these right now. Every one of the Adobe products, you have to opt in. So you put your name, phone number, your website. If you want to sell this stuff, it's got your home address or whatever you put in there. Don't put in your home address, by the way. Please don't. I would get a second phone number and a second email address, and that's your
and a PO box.
And a PO box. And then put it under your LLC and protect the heck out of it. Yeah. So if somebody wanted to buy this penguin picture, they would say, it's AI generated. Okay, so it's going to get less money or whatever. Or this was a trip where there were actually penguins in the desert. Obviously not. So when you capture it and you edit it and you publish it and you trust it, and it's a provenance list. So it says, you took this into Photoshop, you flipped the head, you generally expanded, you took the blemishes off your face, and then you put Donald Trump's face on there. And then they know in a provenance list that gets kept with your initial fingerprint, it tells you every step of the way. And look who's on the list of featured members: Adobe, AFP, BBC, New York Times, Getty Images, everybody, right? And everybody, every photojournalist on the planet started with this content authenticity initiative. And what they're doing now is extending it further for the common folk. So you get ownership. That CR icon, look for it. Okay. So what I said is, if you've only said so far AI can't get it, so that would be a CR5. So if AI makes it, it's a CR5. So, and yeah, go ahead. Forward. Okay. Oh, there we go. The next one, I think. There we go. Okay. So at CR5, that means it's fully AI generated. CR4, it means there's a lot of AI and you can't claim ownership. At CR3, with well-documented human capital investment, that's what I'm doing with my book. I'm saying that you upload a form, and so this could be automated, and that they could create an AI that looks at what I said, which is 40-year-old song. Here's the lyrics. Here's proof. Here's the woman I married. So this is all human, right? I mean, what percentage of that song going the wrong way would you say is human that could never exist if AI alone made it? Are we in the 80, 90 percentile?
I think so.
Okay. So that would mean I'm probably right at a level 2 human authorship, or even a 1 if you buy that I'm human-led and AI supported. So human curated and AI assisted is kind of how I've would have said if I did not write the lyrics from some life experience, but if I came in cold and I started to craft it, I would probably say I curated all the different iterations of the words and then the iterations of the songs. How much time, what I would suggest, blood, sweat, and tears that I put into it is what the measure is. So you can
AI generate the blood?
No, because it's got no embodiment, right? So at 0, 1, and 2, you've got absolute human authorship. At 3, you've got to show some human. That's when the documentation comes in. Otherwise, this 0, 1, 2, 3, it's all you. It's all Taylor Swift. She paid for it, got ownership, right? All right, to go to the next one. So if AI determines the expressive elements of the work, it cannot be registered. However, if sufficient human creativity involves, copyright protection may apply. So that's 70 years past your death, baby. That is a house that you hand down generation for generation. It's a kingdom. It's a title in the British realm. 70 years past your death, that's legacy. And that's what human capital investment buys you, right? You put that your whole 65 years, this 120 songs, let me tell you, there's one about my son that will just rip your heart out, but it's real, and the ones about my daughter, and they're all based upon real horrible experiences.
Yeah, and here's a question for it, you though, on this is, does copyright matter in the age of abundant creativity?
Well, I would like to think so, because we still have to distinguish that thing between, would your child get copyright for the song because they played a little tinkle? And, I don't know. What percentage would you give to that if your son were seeking copyright for the song you were just talking about?
No, that's what I'm saying. Copyright says, so you get this copyright, you pass it on. I'm saying,
Right.
does that, holding on to that copyright for Steamboat Willie and the intellectual property engine that is Disney,
it's billions of
made
dollars.
a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But that was before everybody could create Steamboat Willie
I
with
see what you're saying.
a couple of words. So I'm saying, in a sea of creativity, where does that go?
I've got the perfect analogy for you. I have a camera and I click the button. Does that sound like it's human involvement? If you ask a painter in 1800s, they say there's no human in that loop. That shows no hand of man, right? That's the statement that painters made in the 1830s when photography first came out, because their job was to paint portraits of people, and they were pissed off because photography took their job away. So literally, we're reliving that moment again. So the question is this: copyright is a test of humanness. And when we're not sure what's human anymore, I think it's the last bastion of a concrete decision that has real human consequences and value. How much is Steamboat Willie worth? And then it fed into Mickey, who still has that, right? So the reason why Mickey Mouse being created and him spending his life making it into theme parks and everything else is because if we don't have an incentive to do that, meaning you're going to benefit generationally wealth, why do it? And in a post-AI world where there's no labor required of you and abundance is everywhere, what are you really going to value? And this is where I think copyright must be this new way. It's a measure of your human investment and that capital and how well you've lived. So we celebrate those Ella Fitzgeralds and we celebrate those Buddy Hollies and we celebrate Elvis because their action of living on earth raised them to a level LeBron James only occupies and everybody else who spent their blood, sweat, and tears this way. So there is no more important human measure than to grant copyright for generational wealth. That means that my value on planet Earth went past my existence. Oh my God, now we're talking. Thank you for asking that question because that's something, oh my God, I'm almost in tears thinking about how beautiful that is. So this is not just a simple, we want to make money off of it. This is like the deal. All right, so let's go into now, how did I get all this information? How do I do my research? So there's this little piece right here. Now, am I going to be able to play the video or how are we doing the video?
Yeah, I was just going to have you tee it up and I've got the video in the background.
Oh, okay. So Google Notebook LM, and I want to bring an analogy for you because it's an insanely beautiful product. Now, if you don't know the story, the Library of Alexandria was built by Alexander the Great's successors, and they gathered all the world's knowledge. They had scribes.
Oh, hang on. I got double Rick playing.
Okay.
There we go.
They basically, every boat that came into port as on their way would have scrolls on it. They would search the whole thing, and then they would have scribes copy it. It was a Napster moment. It was really Napster, right? So imagine that you've got all these industry, and they're all moving it. Well, he decided to take all of it, copy it all. So he had scribes sitting there just copying machines, right? But they're human beings. And then he put them in the world's largest library. To give you a sense of scale of what this library is, it's literally like Fort Lauderdale's library or Broward College's library in size. It's all knowledge on planet Earth. In fact, Aristotle is equivalent. So a Bible has about 2 megabytes worth of data in it, just ASCII text. You know, the scrolls, Aristotle's entire oeuvre occupies about 3 megabytes or 10 megabytes of stuff, right? And how much have we created since? We put trillions of petabytes online per day in modern day world. Anyway, so
and I will say, side note, libraries are magic, whether it's the Library of Alexandria or your local library. I love libraries.
Okay.
Can't say enough good
so
things
now
about
I'm going to
libraries.
cue up the video that I shot just today. And this is what Google Notebook is. Imagine not querying a large language library, but all the knowledge, all the YouTube videos, all the PDFs, all the books you've ever written, all the works of Shakespeare and Socrates and Plato. As a matter of fact, Google Notebook can occupy and suck in all the works of Shakespeare in one Google Notebook library that you basically say, here it is as a PDF, boom, it's in there. Then it can take all the Harry Potters, all the Lord of the Rings, and all the, the Dune stuff, right? And put it all in there, and then you can query it. So you're building a library. That's what it does. So take a look at this.
Yeah. So this is what we would call tool time.
Welcome to AI Tool Time. Welcome to AI Tool Time. Rick McCauley's here, your AI guide on the side, showing tools that'll make your imagination come alive. From perplexities, deep research to ChatGPT's mic, creating wonders with text prompts, bringing dreams to life. It's AI Tool Time. AI Tool Time. With the AI guide. Your guide to making magic come true. If you can dream it, just say it. 3 wishes from the tech genie, and watch what these tools can do. 30 minutes to master, tools to explore. Let your imagination soar like never before. AI Tool Time with Rick McCauley, where your digital dreams come true. Come true, come true, come true.
scribes that would literally sit there and copy it and then put it in the world's largest library. Alexandria, that's it is. So Alexander the Great created this library where he basically stole and copied everything and put it into the library, which is ironic because what I'm going to show you is how to use Google NotebookLM as this new library creation tool for educators. So all of this, and your job is to be the curator of knowledge. All right. Welcome to Tool Time. My name is Rick McCauley. Today, we're going to talk about Google NotebookLM. Yes, it's probably the most powerful tool that educators can use out there today. And what it is, you can find it. It's part of the Google library of tools. So if you pay 20 bucks a month, or as an educator, spend $10 a month, you can get access to not only Gemini, you can get access to 5 terabytes of space on your Google Drive. You can get access to Nano Banana, which we've talked about before. But today I'm going to do a super deep dive into probably one of the most amazing features you can do, and that is Google Notebook LM. To give you an idea, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I built this library, just like the library of Alexandria, where it's the collection of all knowledge ever known to man. And I'm going to show you how I constructed this one. At the end of this, you're going to be able to go in here and take a look at a mind map, which takes a look at copyright law. Here's precedent-setting copyright law. And then each one of these things is basically loaded information. And I'll show you how I got here. In fact, if you want to know about Getty Images and Midjourney, you can click right there and it tells you all the stuff that happened and when it happened. How the heck does it do that? Well, this is based upon the sources that you put in. So the way Google Notebook works, it's like building a library. And you've got 3 components. So let's start here on the left. You start with a source and you can add them in. So here's one. This is a video that I took a look at. Take a look at this. So all I did is went over to YouTube, and this is how I recommend you do it. Find a topic you're interested on. It could be copyright. It could be doing a children's book. It could be doing what are the best tips for Nana Banana, or it could be doing a recipe book that you're doing. So what you do is you go out and collect sources, just like those folks at the Alexandria did. And when you go to YouTube in particular, what it does is it transcribes the entire video. So right here, I have all of it. And here's a source guide. This is a summary of what it's talking about. All right, what kind of sources can I bring in here? When you go to add, take a look at this. First, in the top middle section, you can drop any PDF, any text document, any markdown language, and MP3s. Coming soon is video raw, okay? Then you have Google Drive. So I've got mine connected to my Google Drive. Here is some of my stuff on my rocket ship thing. So I could come in here and I could say, oh, I want to grab this story about Napster moment, blah, blah, blah. So any information I have on my terabytes of Google Drive, and you can see what I'm working on. In fact, here's the copyright PDF that I just made. Let's insert this, and I'm going to bring that in as a resource. Take a look at what it does. It's going to ingest that and bring it right into the camp here, right? So now that's part of my grounded information. Also, it can add, as we saw below, Google Drive and then links to a website or a YouTube video. Now you'll see across the bottom, for my 20 bucks, what do I get? I get 300 sources. That means 300 YouTube videos, 300 websites, 300 entries. And they can be the size of 20 megabytes each. Or if it's scraping an entire website, you just copy and paste the URL there. So I can come in here and I've got already loaded up. This is a whole episode about copyright law that goes over the writer's strike and all this kind of stuff. So all I do is just come over here, hit share, copy. And then when I come back over to my notebook, I simply tap on YouTube, paste in the URL, and then now insert. And I can watch it ingest this information in real time. And then I can go down here. Here it is. And let me watch it, because once it's done spinning through that, let's see where, I think this is the one here. Oh, here's a different one. So this is another video. It's got the entire transcripts. All right, so that's kind of cool. So that's input. Now, here's a really super cool thing. So I want to do this presentation because I want to create a 16-week class. So not only do I need to know what AI and copyright is going on right now, but I need to be able to create a quiz. I need to create a PowerPoint and a 16-week class, flashcards, mind maps, audio overviews, video overviews. Yeah, let me not get ahead of myself, but I want to do one more thing, and that is I want to discover what I want to discover. So I can say what I want to discover, and then it's going to search. Find me all the case law and precedent setting in the copyright field with artificial intelligence as the subject matter. Make sure that it's official, whether it's an open case or a closed case. Looking for historical documentation dealing with copyright law that may have effect on current AI and copyright law itself. Okay, so now it's going to go out there and search for just that. So that means every website, every lawsuit, anything that's on the internet, it's going to suck in. If it's grounded truth, so since I specifically asked for case law that is, so here's federal court cases, here's generative, here's the summary PDF. So I'll just import all of those, and guess what? I'm not even coming close. So that's it ingesting all that knowledge. So that Alexandria library that we talked about earlier, sometimes you'll find ones that are behind paywalls and they'll come up with a red thing. I just remove those. I don't need to get something that, needs to be paid for, and I don't want to do anything illegal. So, but you can tell it what you want to base it upon. In fact, I just thought what would be kind of cool is the top news stories. So I'm going to come back up here again. I want to discover, and I'm going to be ingesting. Again, I'm looking for all the knowledge that's out there. Bring me the top 5 news stories and detailed information from trusted news sources like Associated Press, New York Times, or other outlets about AI cases that are currently the most contentious and the highly publicized ones there are. Any magazine or any source that's free for access and knowledge gain would be spectacular. Thank you. Okay, so now it's going to go out and look for those sources. If it's behind a paywall, it's not going to go there, but you get the idea. I could, if I subscribe to New York Times, download as a PDF and then load it up in my Discovery tab. Okay, here we go. And there's Forbes magazine, there's The Guardian, there's et cetera, et cetera. And you can look at each one of these. So what I'm doing is I'm really doing some cool stuff as an educator. I am collecting and curating knowledge that I know to be fact-based. And here's a scholar, law.gwu. Not quite sure. Sometimes I'm not sure why it doesn't get through, but you can keep going. All right, so that's kind of cool. So let's come up with a question that we might want to ask of this information. I'm creating a 16-week course, and I want you to give me an outline and an overview. What would be the name of this course if I want them to as a legal department? So this will be taught by a law professor. It will also be taught by an ethicist and a philosopher, and it will also be taught by an AI expert who's up on all these laws. These 3 different people will create this multidisciplinary class. Give me an overview of what this class might need to include, what are the talking points, and give me 3 sort of expertise perspectives that these 3 professors might bring to the table to framework this class. Using the data here, let's make a class and give an outline that I can present to the professor to convince them to teach this wonderful class. Give me a course number, as this would be a graduate level class in a multidisciplinary degree program. Okay, so it's taking the grounded information. This is Gemini now going to work. And so there's my question. And I could actually create an audio overview about just this question alone and have it tell me what it suggests doing. How cool is that? Create a mind map all of a sudden. But in just a few seconds, it's taking all of this information, which is now, I don't know, maybe just only 60 or 70 references, perhaps. And it's going to give me an answer. While that's kind of cooking in the wings, I can come over here and take a look at any actions that are where I've already done this. So I've got down here, some other outputs. It normally doesn't take this long, so I'll probably edit this part out, but it's using 59 sources. That's what I have. I have 59 sources, and I just asked this question, and it's in the process of answering it. Oh, here we go. And here's the outline for the course. And how wonderful is this? Look at this. Okay, let me go zoom in. A graduate level seminar, multidisciplinary examination, and then take a look at this, right? So there's the class. It even gives you a cross-listed in the different departments. The algorithmic author, law, ethics, and creativity in the age of AI. Guess what it has here? The citations from where the information came from, right? Graduate level seminar provides multidisciplinary explanation of the profound legal and ethical and society changes proposed by generative artificial intelligence. As AI models like ChatGPT, Midjourney, and Sora demonstrate unprecedented capabilities in creating text, images, and video, they have triggered an existential crisis for creators and have upended traditional frameworks of intellectual property. That's the topic for tonight's show, copyright and intellectual property. This course will explore the pivotal moments we are in, where court dockets are backlogged with lawsuits pitting creators against technology giants, and the very definition of authorship, creativity, and infringement are being contested. Holy cow, is that perfect or what? So then I go jump to the bottom, and this is how I do it. Click copy, go over to my Microsoft Word document, which is always ready, create a new document. I paste it. Oops. Oh, that's an old document I had on screen. Oh, that's not the right one. Hold on. Let me try that again. I copy the information and I come over to create a new document. There we go. Okay, so there's my document, and I'm going to auto-save it to the OneDrive. If I have Google Notes up on Stage, then I'll have that here as well. Then I'll save it as a PDF, and I'll come back and do that later. But also I can save this note and pin it over here. So this becomes a permanent entry, and if I like it, fantastic. Now I can go further, and it actually tells me what I'm going to be doing on each week, how we're going to divide up the roles of these three professors so it makes sense, right? And because it's got grounded information, and I could vet that even more carefully, so I would have all of us bringing to this table in a group thing, which you can share this, by the way, all this information. So this can be a collaborative experience. So I literally would say, hey, you guys want to teach this class? Then I would say, bring them in here. Here's what I have so far. All right. So now I'm going to have it create a mind map. I'm going to have it create a quiz. I'm going to have it create some reports. What reports do I want it to create? A blog post? Yes, why not? And it's actually generating these things as we go. And to show you what this looks like, I'm going to do a new audio overview. Now, audio overview is going to be a voice where you can kind of set. So I'm going to come in here. Now, audio overview is two people talking to each other. You can pick short, longer. On the deep dive, it's a lively conversation between two hosts in whatever language you want. Here are the ones currently supported, and there's quite a few. They just added these recently. Look at this, Filipino. Wow. I don't even know what some of these languages are. Okay, that's cool. Then I could do a brief, bite-sized kind of thing, a critique, or a debate. So I'm going to put debate, and it sets to default. Then I'm going to say here, custom instructions. I'm teaching a class in multidisciplinary education. We have an AI ethicist, an AI expert, and we have also a philosopher and a journalism professor. They're going to be teaching this class. So I'd like to cover both the philosophy, the ethics, and the practical journalistic nature of how we protect it. Also an artist, I'm sorry. We're going to have a professor who's an art professor, worried about the future of meaning. So use all those perspectives and give me a debate between an artist-centric view of the AI world, who is against AI scraping their work, and the large language companies that are practically trying to make advances to change the world for the better using all things the way that an artist would look at artwork and build upon that. Okay, I did a very poor job of that, but the idea is this conversation is going to be an audio overview that is based upon my request for what I wanted to do. The video overview is the same sort of thing. And instead of doing that right now, what I'm going to do is bring up, here is the notes that we did on one. It's now generating an audio overview, and it's generating a quiz. I can even come down here and make different reports that you just saw. And so it's generating that, and then flashcards. So flashcards, and I'm going to come down here and show you what that looks like at the end. So the copyright flashcards I did 20 hours ago are this. What are the 4 non-exclusive statutory factors of fair use defense of the United States copyright law? Well, I can see the answer. There we go. And I can have it explained. And this will actually put together right here in this center console an explanation of this particular question. So for students, they can sit here and go true, false. In the context of fair use, a party must prevail on all 4 factors to win a fair use determination, true or false. Take a look at what we've got here. In a matter of minutes, I've created a master's level course in this information. And when I go on down and take a look at some of the other reports that I created earlier, here's the one about copyright law. And when you were looking at this before, you thought, okay, that's kind of cool. But what is the proposed change in regulation? Now, here's the really super cool thing you can do. If you click on this right now, so No Fakes Act, that's before Congress right now, okay? And writer strikes right in 2023. So this information's already been ingested. If I click on this, watch what just happened. In this center console, it's answering all the questions about that. It's summarizing, discuss the sources say about proposed registration, regulatory changes in a larger context of AI and copyright law. Holy cow. Stop the presses. And I'm doing this all at once, and it's multitasking. Yes, it can multitask. Human beings, not so much. And then here we go. So here is the core thing. Then I can take that information, again, jumping to the bottom, copying that note. Ooh, it's still going. And I know where it came from. So even if I'm critical, and you should be a critical thinker, and maybe I got more information. So here's federal and state regulations. Here's the source information. It's all there. And then when I copy and paste this, and it's still going, I mean, it's still going. Remember, this is Gemini. So literally you could load up all the Harry Potter books, all the Lord of the Rings books into one NotebookLM and then query it. Imagine every major philosopher of all time copied and pasted in. Then you go over and then you go into your notes that you're doing. And then I recommend using a Google Drive to put all these into, but there you go. Here's the generative AI copyright disclosure, transparency law, preventing deep fake legislation. So if you even just wanted to know for a newscast, what about the No Deep Fakes Act? And then guess what happens? I didn't do it here, but at the bottom, it would tell you all the links to where the source information came from. Holy cow, blow my mind. All right, so now we haven't listened to one of these, and this is my favorite part. First, we'll listen to flashcards. Oh, here we go. Let's watch this. Oops. Sorry about that. Let me try to grab it one more time. Okay.
Today, we're jumping right into a massive fight that's brewing at the intersection of technology and creativity. We're talking about a battle where lines of computer code are going up against centuries of law, and it could completely change what it means to be an artist or a writer in the 21st century. So let's just start with this number, $1.5 billion. What does that number even mean? Is it the price tag for some new AI supercomputer? A tech company's valuation? Nope, it's actually the dollar amount at the very center of the fight we're talking about today. That massive number, it's from a proposed settlement in a lawsuit against the AI company Anthropic. And that quote from the author's lawyer really puts it into perspective. This isn't some theoretical debate anymore. We are talking about real billion-dollar consequences. And honestly, this one case is the perfect way to understand this entire war over AI and copyright. So let's break it down. Okay, so here are the players. You've got the AI company Anthropic on one side and a whole group of authors and publishers on the other. And the allegation is just wild, that Anthropic knew it was downloading millions of books from pirate sites to train its AI. The proposed payout wasn't small change either. We're talking about roughly $3,000 for every single one of an estimated 500,000 books. That's a historic number. But, and this is a huge but, just when everyone thought it was a done deal, a federal judge basically hit the brakes. The judge started questioning whether the deal was even fair, which just goes to show you how messy and uncertain this whole legal area is. Absolutely nothing is set in stone. Now, to really get why this is all so complicated, we have to take a quick step back and look at the basics.
Okay, I'm going to stop there because this goes on for 7 minutes, and every
you
slide
and
is
only
absolutely on point.
It's that act of
and it's
copying
based
that has
upon this real information. Now, what I will tell you about this is the Anthropic has now been settled. Well, actually, December will be finally. But what it did illegal was not to scrape all the information on the internet. That's actually cool. It's called transformative. That's what the current legal law states as the wall that you can't pass. However, when you scrape it, you can't keep it. So it actually went to a pirate website and grabbed 500,000 books. Okay. If you stole it, that's a crime. Okay. And if you kept it, that's proof you stole it. And so right now they're doing some research to find out if they actually still have it, if this was a mistake. And they've decided to give $3,000 per entry. So yeah, it's almost, for most companies, that would be an existential end to your company. So that's the inside the baseball. And we'll talk about this on tonight's show. But what's spectacular about this, and what I'm going to do, is I take this audio overview, I take the statistics that are here, and I'm going to juice up the visuals just a little bit, like I'm doing with this PowerPoint presentation that you'll see in a second. But what's so extraordinary about this is, think about this. Every one of your students has these kind of flash decks. And I could say, give me just a video overview that just talks about philosophy and ethics. Give me a perspective from just journalism. And then it's generating these different ones. So each time I ask a different question, when I hit this pencil, I'm saying, I want to have it look from this perspective. It's spectacular. The way that we teach is changing fundamentally. So I've actually had it create the 16-week course. And then I did one on another topic. So to kind of land the plane here, you've got input of all the sources in the planet that you can actually have it act as a research agent. That's the big thing. And the type of sources can be any kind of source there is in existence. So that's spectacular. So let me take a look at this one I did for hotel tech. So I did research. I don't know anything about hotel trends and AI and hospitality, but I was able to create AI-powered hotel. What does that have to do? When I did my presentation, it was based on this data. Oh my God, thousands of hours it would have taken to take 43 sources of information from robots in hotels. So here's robotics in hotels, right? And so I can actually take a look at, this is actually the YouTube video that it found for me. And then it summarized that. And then it creates this. And then I go off and I download this and I use it to create other products. So I'll show you just a little bit of what I'm doing in PowerPoint, and we're going to wrap it up here. But so I said, I want to present to everybody the understanding of what the metaphor is for this Google Notebook. Imagine that you're one of the people who's curating all of this knowledge as the information comes in from the Nile and great philosophers, Egyptian thinkers, etc., and it comes through Alexandria on its way to rest of Europe, etc. You had to copy it, and then they created the world's largest library, which, to give you a sense of scale, still was only about the size of your local public library, to give you that idea. Now you're in a world where all knowledge has already been put on the internet. It got scraped and it's at your fingertips, and you ingest it into Google Notebook LM. So who are you as an educator? You're the curator of knowledge at the world's largest library. You're the librarian of the Alexandrian Library. The ancient library was the center of all scholarship, where librarians curated the world's knowledge. The modern curator, Google Notebook LM. That's it. And then you get to tailor it to your needs. I'm teaching a photography class. What do? I ingest all of the best YouTube videos about how to do photography. So the exposure triangle, which I've taught for 30 years, I can stop teaching that and let ChatGPT build the most beautiful visual video library of explainer videos ever built on Earth, and take all my knowledge and put on top, and then curate it and form it and sculpt it to the way I want. How did I create what you're looking at right now? I asked ChatGPT, I was doing the speech, give me a metaphor with the librarian of Alexandria and what Google Notebook LM is. I fed that script into ChatGPT. I said, give me a slide deck, PowerPoint presentation, give me a description of each image that would go along with this combination of comparing Alexandria to the modern Google Notebook LM in use. And then it generated a script that I went over to Manus. You could do this in Lovable or any capable engine that can generate images. So the images were all generated within an hour, and this is what I got. Now I'd go back and I'll edit this, and I've got it trained on my style, which is headlines that are golden color, white text, large copy, and then image style that I've generated over time. And then so you've got from Discovery tab, expand your collection. So we're discovering stuff and we're asking for it to do it, right? This is actually a pretty cool metaphor. And then the scrolls to case law. So I want to bring in case law. And I would probably tweak this because I didn't, and then we have debate, right? So we have debate not only by the speakers, but then I tell my students, we're going to have a real debate over what you would do and how would you, so this would be the law professor is going to have actual students of philosophy and art take both sides. Imagine you're debating your students and you pitted an artist who's anti-AI with a very proactive AI business person in the class. Or you put the two teams together and you let them pick which side they want to debate. And then you ask them to debate the opposite side. You give them the corpus of data and they have to make a convincing argument. Perhaps you could even have your students practice by loading up your GPT with the knowledge base and then say, based upon this knowledge base, act as my opponent. You take this side, I'll take the other. And then you flip the sides and it fine tunes your debate. You are agentically in control of your learning journey. This is the hero's journey that every educator who's worth their salt wants for every student. This is how you get there, right? It's the curation, it's the iteration, it's having your students go through this valuable, grounded truth. So you're the curator to make sure there's no junk stuff in that trunk, right? You want to make sure that they don't have fake information in there. It's got to be the real law of the time. You've got to verify it. So you need to go through the citations and make sure that this is curated information. What I do, go to ChatGPT, give me the top 10 videos about copyright law, then go over to Gemini, have it check, make sure that's right. Is that the best? If they're wrong, if the link is wrong, fix it. Then I copy and paste those 10 in, and then I go searching for more. So educator's query is we're then asking questions of this. How else might I frame this up? What do I do with an audio overview and a library that speaks to me? I could have a conversation with the scrolls themselves. I can have flashcards if I want to memorize what is case law and how does this affect it? What is the philosophical points of view that we might be able to look at both sides? What do we do? How do we do a reaction paper? What world do you want to live in? Where that AI supersedes you in the capabilities of making videos autonomously? What laws might we pass to stop that from happening? To me, it's the Chinese law. The Chinese wall, excuse me. I want to put between us and the AI a wall so big and thick that says this is human. Only we are creators. Only we have embodied experiences. The words I use for this is, we know the first kiss and the last goodbye. You never will, and we'll never let you, because that means we put the blood, sweat, and tears into life. We are the storytellers. We are the ones that craft those stories into movies, into films. You can act as an agent to make sure that the costume design, as if I'm Steven Spielberg, is correct. But I am Steven Spielberg. I decide what you shoot, when you shoot it, what direction you do. I am the director of the AI, and that's the world we want to live in. So we're building a course. We're designing an educational experience, and then we're letting them go through that, and we're basing it upon they become librarians. The next thing is let them learn how to do this, learn how to take their curiosity, their creativity, and find new ways to do this. What's their next? What's your next? And what do you want as an educator? To plan and help them understand what their future as students and human beings is going to be, to help find their purpose in life, their ikigai. That's what this is. It's knowledge transference from all knowledge of humankind to design a future and an educational path that your students can drive on their own to their future of knowledge, understanding, and changing the world for the better. Every day, they get to become a better version of themselves. And you are Gandalf, knowing that trusting Frodo with the journey to save all mankind is your most noble pursuit. So it's time to step up and use this tool the profoundly beautiful way I've just demonstrated here and make a difference in the world. Prepare for your students' future, not for your past. We can't teach rote method memorization because all that stuff is already there. But we can be curators, librarians, ethicists, philosophers, thinkers, and we can make them the same. Critical, creative thinkers. And then I'll add this. The most important things for the future of all education: creativity, curiosity, critical thinking, and then social and emotional intelligence. And then finally, consensus building. Because without all of those factors, we as human beings are really nothing more than an AI bot controlled by them. With that, we are Steven Spielberg, crafting the future of the planet through the lens of our students' journey that we have but sent them on, and we put impediments in the way, not to break them, but to make them have friction so they earn it and they have an emotional experience of winning that debate against a ChatGPT. And that another ChatGPT on somebody else's phone has checked it and said, yes, I think Rick made the most amazing argument. And that person goes on to form policy informed by all the knowledge that we have. Imagine a world where that's how we live. That's Google Notebook, and I'm Rick McCauley, a dangerous man, an educator, and a human being. Thank you for watching. Now go forward and make this change happen in the world. Looking forward to it. The world.
Damn, man. Shit. That's it. That's it. I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit. That's why I'm here. That's it. I just said it. You know, I hope the people make it to the end of this damn thing, because it's not, and we'll have to clip that out, obviously, and you know, and leave in the tears, because it's blood, sweat, and tears that got me here. You know, I didn't get to say that because I sat back and I waited for somebody else to do something for me. That's who I am as a human being, and that's what I qualify as a dangerous human being, because I don't know, I can't change the future. I have free will, but you have to earn free will. I don't think very many people on planet Earth have free will. It means that you not only understand on a consciousness level what the consequences of your actions are, but you've learned from repeated mistakes of that kintsugi breaking every bone in your body and putting back drop by drop gold until you end your life with a solid gold chalice that gets handed down through copyright law to 70 years in the future. And your children's children's children can enjoy that money because you lived. That's immortality. I can die anytime after after that one, I just like shit.
Yeah.
You
It's
talk
powerful
and make me feel
words.
real quick, Brandon, because man, I'm a bit messed up right now.
Yeah. So appreciate you hanging out and watching this back, whether you're watching live or
Yeah,
on
thank you,
demand.
everybody.
We've got some exciting things planned for the future of AITV just
Yeah.
weeks away. And so
So we're planning a couple of deep dives. Put in the notes something you'd like to hear more about. We're definitely doing ideogram and the ChatGPT thing. So we're going to do a flow state, take you from soup to nuts, kind of how what I showed you today. We'll do Manus too, because I've gotten really good at this. And there's a couple of tweaks and secrets that I can tell you about. And Google Notebook LM. Thank God we didn't do it last week like we planned, because they introduced some other stuff, like even the blog thing. I haven't even seen that yet. So I'm waiting to see what that looks like. And then we want to start to build our companion website. So we've got a lot ready for you coming up really soon. Hey, thank you, Brandon. As we were already talking about, we're just in our first days, man. And thank you all, beautiful people. Thank you, Brandon, for going on this journey. I think it's valuable. I hope you find it that way too. Like and subscribe, baby, because that's the way you make us happy. And to listen in patience. We thank you all. Namaste.
Welcome to AITV. I'm the AI guy, Rick McCauley, dropping news so fresh, gotta see it to believe. We break the wire with the stories that amaze. Deep dives coming, lighten up your days. Tool Time shows you how we make it shine. Building futures with AI one step at a time. Yo, Rick, slow down. I'm Brandon, the producer. Save some tools for me. I'm here bringing high-tech comic energy. AITV, news, deep dives, and creation. AITV, learn, laugh, innovation. AITV, more human amplified. Catch the spark, ride the wave, future's on our side. We got experts talking, truth in the stream, dreaming bigger, living stronger, building a dream from there.